Here is a clear, detailed, and easy-to-understand summary of Talking to Psychopaths, Chapter 8, within 4,000 words. Blue Book Talking to Psychopaths, Chapter 8 Summary. Introduction. In Chapter 8, Christopher Berrydy continues exploring the minds of violent psychopaths, but this chapter focuses more deeply on the emotional aftermath of crime, how psychopaths react after being caught, their mindset in prison, their view of justice and punishment, the psychological difference between regret and self-pity. By this stage in the book, one pattern is very clear. Psychopaths may understand consequences intellectually, but they rarely experience true emotional remorse. Brain reaction after the crime. Chapter 8 examines what happens after a psychopath commits a serious crime. Many violent offenders describe feeling calm, relieved, satisfied, emotionally neutral. Unlike a normal person who might feel panic, fear, or guilt, a psychopath often reports no internal emotional crisis. Berrydy explains that some offenders slept peacefully after the crime, continued daily routines, interacted normally with others. This emotional detachment shocks investigators because it shows how disconnected they are from moral responsibility. Balance being caught and facing arrest. Another major theme in Chapter 8 is how psychopaths respond when they are arrested. Instead of guilt, many show anger at being caught, frustration about losing freedom, irritation toward police, blame toward others. Their concern is usually about the inconvenience of prison, damage to their reputation, loss of control. Rarely do they express deep concern for victims. Berrydy highlights that for many psychopaths, the real tragedy is not the crime, it is getting caught. Neutral face, regret versus self-pity. This chapter clearly separates two concepts. True regret, feeling sorrow for the harm caused to others. Self-pity, feeling sorry for oneself. Psychopaths often display self-pity instead of regret. They might say, "My life is ruined. I didn't deserve this sentence. The system treated me unfairly." But when asked about victims, they become emotionally distant. This difference reveals their self-centered perspective. Performing arts behavior in prison. Chapter 8 explores how psychopaths behave behind bars. Some follow rules to gain privileges, manipulate other inmates, charm prison staff, present themselves as cooperative. Others may continue controlling weaker prisoners, spread fear, create small power structures inside prison. Even in confinement, their desire for dominance remains. Berrydy explains that prison does not automatically remove psychopathic traits. It only limits physical freedom, not personality. Jigsaw intelligence and adaptation. A significant idea in this chapter is adaptability. Psychopaths are often skilled at adjusting to new environments. In prison, they may learn legal terminology, study psychological concepts, understand how parole systems work, practice appearing reformed. Some even become experts at describing their own growth in therapy sessions. However, Berrydy suggests that in many cases, this is strategic rather than genuine transformation. Direct hit control, even in confinement. Control remains central. Even without physical freedom, psychopaths may seek control through conversation, manipulation, information, emotional influence. Berrydy notes that interviews sometimes feel like psychological contests. The offender may attempt to shock the interviewer, withhold information, reveal details slowly for dramatic effect, enjoy the attention. For them, the interview becomes another opportunity for control. Brain emotional understanding without emotional feeling. Chapter 8 reinforces a key psychological concept. Psychopaths can understand emotions intellectually, but not emotionally. They may explain why families feel grief, why society feels anger, why the crime is considered terrible. But when describing their own feelings, they often return to neutrality. It is as if they are describing emotions from a textbook rather than personal experience. Magnifying glass tilted left the impact on investigators and society. Barry D. also reflects on how these interviews affect investigators and researchers. Listening to calm descriptions of violence can be mentally exhausting, emotionally disturbing, difficult to process. The contrast between victim suffering and offender indifference is deeply unsettling. This chapter reminds readers that understanding psychopathy is important for criminal profiling, legal decisions, public safety, early intervention. Warning: can psychopaths truly change? Chapter 8 questions the possibility of deep change. Barry D. suggests behavioral control is possible. Emotional transformation is rare. Some psychopaths become better at hiding traits. True empathy development is extremely difficult. The chapter does not say change is impossible, but it shows that it is uncommon. Key lessons from Chapter 8. Psychopaths often feel calm after committing crimes. Being caught causes frustration, not guilt. Self-pity is common, true remorse is rare. Prison limits freedom, but not personality. Many adapt strategically to gain advantages. Emotional understanding does not equal emotional feeling. Deep personality change is extremely difficult. Brain simple conclusion. Chapter 8 highlights one of the most disturbing truths about psychopathy. Punishment does not automatically create remorse. Christopher Barry shows that many violent psychopaths regret losing control of their lives, but do not regret destroying others. Their emotional emptiness remains even behind prison walls. The chapter reinforces the book's central message. Psychopathy is not loud anger. It is quiet detachment. It is control without conscience. And that is why it remains one of the most challenging personalities to understand and to manage.